You are listening to the Certified Personal Trainer Podcast, a show by personal trainers for personal trainers. It's time to become a better trainer, get more clients, and change more lives. And now, here's your host, the head coach and founder of Fitness Mentors, Eddie Lester.
Hey guys, welcome to the Certified Personal Trainer Podcast. I'm your host, Eddie Lester, and I am very excited to be here with Michael Hughes today. Michael, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Eddie, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Awesome. So kind of looking at how we connected, we really saw you as someone that was making waves as far as really utilizing, what we call the modern personal trainer career path, and kind of seeing that personal trainers and the career path is really evolving. And we really connected because we saw you doing something special and really making kind of a very, fitness specific brand in Gymnazo, which I'll have you talk all about in just a second, as well as really just progressing, so much more beyond just moving from personal training and to helping personal trainers to then really creating a whole brand. So I guess my first question for you is kind of tell me all about, how you got into the industry, what made you kind of, excited about that. And then we'll kind of move into your brand in Gymnazo.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I appreciate what you're talking about. It's like the modern personal trainer. And that's something that, without the process of what I'm going to share with you, I honestly don't think would have ever come about. Because my whole purpose and passion back in 7th, 8th grade literally was become a physical therapist. I knew that's what I wanted to do at that age. And I did everything I possibly could in terms of the classes I took in high school, which were fairly limited in terms of what I could take. But my classes in terms of college, the job I took in college, what I turned to learn, my special at the time, all went towards that. So it kind of really, just a quick backstory, because all trainers come to this scenario, like we don't go to engineering school, like there's no college credential that says, oh, good, you're a personal trainer. So we all kind of have our interesting story. So mine started as a young kid, not being very confident in speech. And I share this story often because the imposter syndrome that trainers have is, I believe, the biggest barrier in this industry. We don't think we're good enough. We don't think we're smart enough. And that was something that was part of me as an early child. I have a 5-year-old daughter, and I really remember myself as 5 years old. I couldn't get a sentence out without just butchering it with stutters and stammers and all kinds of stuff. And it really affected me as a kid in terms of the confidence level. And I'll touch on that in a bit. But when I started bodybuilding, quote unquote, in 7th grade, which is pretty early, but just physique working out, right? It changed how my body looked. It's very simple. I remember being so sore walking to my American history class in 7th grade. Like I couldn't write notes with my pencil because my chest was so sore from doing bench press. Anyways, it's like that. Like he's like, wow, I can choose to change my body, and we all know that when you change your body physically, it doesn't just stick physical; it goes to mental. And we know this very well. It doesn't stick in the mental; it goes to soulful, right? Or whatever that deepest part of the person. And so I realized that at a young age, at that level of my consciousness, in a sense. And I started working out more, and then I started building workouts for friends of mine in high school. Well, I was in junior high at that time. And they're like, oh, these are great workouts, da-da-da. And there's another story of how I built those workouts. I have to blame or give credit to Arnold Schwarzenegger for those. But long story short, the feedback of that client, coach, athlete loop was just, my soul just thrived on it. Like I can positively affect someone else's life, and therefore in turn they thank me. And like that's it, right? That's what we just are addicted to, relatively speaking, as a trainer. So I went to Fresno State in California here because my uncle is a physical therapist, or was. He just recently retired in Clovis. So I know that I could learn, be part of the school, get the whole feedback loop going. And here's a story where it comes to the ultimate low point of any actor, character in a story is I never got into physical therapy school. I tried 8 different times, and I knew coming into it was going to be hard for me. I'm not a standardized test taker. I don't learn in the traditional school setting. And it took me a long time for me to say this to myself, that I am very intelligent, but I'm not intelligent in how the school system manages intelligence. I don't sit and learn by hearing or viewing. I learn by doing, physically kinesthetic learning. So luckily, there's others, right? There's educations that you put out. There's education we put out, right? There's other ways of becoming a kinesiologist because the school system doesn't do that. In fact, there's nothing in school that says go ahead and become this job now in a movement trade without getting a credential or more graduate schooling, et cetera, et cetera. Long story short, I found the institute, or the Gray Institute, and they gave me the thought process, the principle-based approach to break down human movement in its most simplest forms, joint by joint, plane by plane emotion by plane emotion, in a physical therapist way. And I was lucky enough to be in that fellowship. And then what I did is I said, wow, that's a great way as a physical therapist to do it in a one-on-one setting. How does the trainer do it in the group training setting? That's my whole story of what Gymnazo is. It's taking the principles of human movement and putting it into a format that a trainer can apply it in a group setting. And here we go to the modern trainer. I don't want to jump ahead too far, but that's kind of the story of where this whole thing came from. And as you know, someone who's built your own brand, there's a lot of, the details are really, way in there. But,
absolutely. Awesome. So talk to me about kind of what you have created. We talk a lot on this podcast about sustainability in this career path.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your first job as a trainer. What were you doing, and then how did that kind of lead to you creating a more sustainable career path in this field?
Yeah, you said it perfectly. I think that's like the biggest buzzword right now, is not just sustainability in practice of working out, but more importantly is the sustainability of the coach. Because unfortunately, the job of a personal trainer, I'm using the word personal very literally, it's kind of a slave to the trade. You need that hour or half hour, whatever the case is. You need that client, and there's only so many hours and half hours in a day. And if that person doesn't show up, sick, kids got, whatever the case is, traffic is bad, you don't get paid. Now, I know you can have other means of, collecting late fees and things like that, but for the best part, if they don't show up, you don't get paid. And it's a very tough business. You don't see very many trainers who says, yeah, I'm a career trainer. I've been doing it for these last 20 years. You don't see very many 65-year-olds. I'm retiring as a personal trainer with a life of savings to go for. Maybe it's out there. I haven't seen it.
I very, very rarely do you see.
Unless you live in like Hollywood, I've ever worked with. You train someone or two people that can afford you, right? The celebrity, the actor, whatever the case is, the professional, ball player, whatever the case is. But let's call that very few. So what do you do in this environment? You have to leverage your time, and that's really the only other answer. Now, cool thing is there's so many ways to do that. And now, a silver lining of COVID, now it's more accessible than ever before.
Absolutely.
So you have to leverage your time. Now, that doesn't mean you sell your soul to large boot camps and deliver, decent quality just to fill numbers. That doesn't mean that. But it's really creating an ecosystem. And what Gymnazo as a brand has done is created an ecosystem. And I kind of put it towards like Apple developed an ecosystem. You can get a computer. You can also get a phone, you get a watch, you can get software. You can also get headphones. Like all these things speak to each other. And that's the point. So what started as a one-on-one trainer, I realized I'm full. Working 7-8 hours a day as a trainer, that's manual labor.
That's a lot of energy too. You got to bring the energy every session.
And to make your first client the same as your last client, in energy-wise, it's not a job I recommend. I just flat out. I just don't recommend it long term. So though the money's good, the hours are brutal, and you go on vacation, no money. Someone gets sick, no money. It's just what the case is. So you have to leverage yourself, and there's a few ways to do that. Group training, semi-private training, partner training. selling programs, selling workouts, right? So what we did is we designed a system that all speaks to each other. And with the education we have on movement therapeutics, in a sense, physical therapy-esque, is we said, well, what's the biggest thing that people lose in fitness? How do people stop coming to fitness? Well, there's time, there's money, right? But there's also injury, movement pain. Not just injury, but like movement pain. So we can't solve for people's money. We can solve people's time, relatively speaking, for group training and scheduling. But how do we solve for movement dysfunction? And so now we have one-on-one training that we literally try to fire our clients as soon as possible. Truly, not from a Gymnazo, but from the one-on-one training to go into semi-private training, which is 1-on-4. Personalized programming, though. It's not group programming, it's personalized programming. And then from there, they can interchange between small group, which is, our small group is only like 16 tops. That's our biggest group. So we're not talking boot camp style, at least how we define it. And people can ebb and flow through those processes and never leave the system, never leave the ecosystem. And though we don't fix all things, that's very important to say, but we do have relationships with the chiropractors and massage therapists and physical therapists. But if we can keep musculoskeletal dysfunction, which is aches and pains with muscles and bones, before they become injuries, physical, surgical injuries, I believe, and here I go, the modern trainer is that person.
Awesome. And so is this something that you currently run as an offering at your gym? That's that system that you just mentioned?
Yes, that's literally what we're doing right now through those doors.
Awesome. Yeah, I could hear an occasional drop of a dumbbell, so that's it. That's awesome. No, and that's such a unique way to think about just utilizing your time, like you mentioned, utilizing your time and leveraging your time for what we always talk about here, which is helping more people. As a trainer, that one-on-one training allows you to help maybe 20 clients max. If you're really busy, maybe more than that, but that'll wipe you out. I guess how many clients can a trainer using that system, we'll say, connect with, or how many can they have in total if you were to maximize that with that system?
I'm going to break this down because I counted it at this level, but then I took it off. Because I didn't count it for me, one trainer. One trainer,
If someone was to think about this system.
I'm going to reverse engineer this. When it was me as the only full-time coach, and I had 3 other college student part-timers, so really important, the part-time, even college part-time, we were managing 92 clients.
Awesome. Okay.
So let's just think that we were 2.5 full-time people. So let's just cut that number in half. Let's call it the high 40s and 50s. That I would see that many people, individual people, not sessions, but individual people in a week time.
That's awesome. And that in a week's time, and that was that the total in client volume as well, or I guess if that makes sense.
Yeah, so that was the total client volume, but the sessions, they could come 2 times a week.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So they're coming on average maybe 2, maybe 3 times a week in that model. Awesome.
And that was without semi-private. So that was only one-on-one and only group.
Okay, so that was only 2 of those.
There's only
4 fingers do you have?
3.
3 pathways. Okay, so you have the one-on-one, you have the 4 or 1-on-4, and then you have the 16 or 4-on-1, and then a 16 to 1.
16-on-1, and the 16-on-1 has 3 different levels to it. Not to complicate things, but
but you can progress. So in a way, you're providing a we'll say sustainable system for the trainer, that utilizes and leverages their time to the best of a in-person trainer in that sense. And that would allow, sounds like much more than 92 with those 3 different systems, and then even the tiers of the group training. And my guess is in this system, does people that need more attention because of pain and or injury, do they go down into the more or semi-private than to private, depending on their pain or injury or things like that?
Yeah, it really kind of depends on wants and needs, right? Someone may just want to. They just want one-on-one training. So fair enough, great. But we have a limit on that. Like, I only have 1 client at a time that simply wants one-on-one.
Okay.
This is a process. I've been doing this since 2004.
Wow.
Gymnazo started in 2010. So for anyone brand new, like, this has been a process. please don't judge my chapter 50 by your chapter 1.
Of course. Yeah. Obviously, building something like this would,
Yeah, right.
I'm thinking of myself starting and
yeah, me too. Like even
my
myself,
10
like, how do
clients
I-
and yeah. Mhm.
yeah, I'll just take one-on-one clients. Yeah, good. Just take one-on-one clients. Take them.
Of course. Mhm.
Take all you can, but be ready to start saying, hey, Joe, Bob, I'm kind of writing the same program for you guys.
Yeah.
I know you're individual people, but I could save you not only time, but I can save you finances. Because again, sustainability is not just the workload, the volume load, it's the cash flow and it's the time, right? The three biggest things I mentioned, time, money, and then the body's ability to actually do it. So if you can solve for all three of those, seriously solve for all three of those. So like what happened as we started to really take this thing to scale is we did like as an example, 6 a.m. is a busy time for us. We're on the Pacific Coast time zone here. I think we're both in California. Like it's a go-getter time. Our type A's come in, our pre-workers come in. It's our busiest time. So I only do group at that time.
Okay. Yep.
Only group. 7:30, I kind of get the after wave of that. So it's a smaller group, but it's still a group. 8:30, 9:45, all the way leading to lunch, semi-private one-on-ones. Group comes back again at 12, crush it, loud energy, making, doing the cases. But 1 o'clock, semi-private.
Okay.
2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, at 2 o'clock we have nothing. It's a quiet time in our facility. Time for our meetings, zone out, whatever, 3 o'clock we get semi-private back going again. One-on-ones can fit in there, and then back to our work hour, back to group.
Yeah.
Now again, I just did a 6 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. So that's a 12-hour day. So not advisable, but that's for our team, right?
Yes.
So as a one individual, cut your day off at 2 o'clock.
Yeah. Well, what I was kind of thinking, and as you were talking, and probably exactly why you built this model, is that it's so easy to bring people into the ecosystem as far as other trainers that can help you, or you hire other people to then lighten your load, and eventually, if you wanted, you could even only work a few hours a day and have your team be managing that. And at the same time, if you get really good at this model, you can easily replicate it somewhere else. And that's when I see scalability, sustainability. I mean, it's these types of ideas that really highlight what a modern personal trainer is. And I love that system that you created. That's amazing.
Appreciate that. It was it's been a labor of love.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean that's so. I mean, we've talked here a lot about the online training, virtual training, how you can really do that effectively and allow for or basically to help people achieve fitness and health goals from anywhere in the world at any time and that sort of thing. I love this flip side of the in-person focus and scaling that side, because there's systems like what you've created that allow for that for you to achieve your career goals, financial goals, business ownership, entrepreneurial goals in that system. And that's really something so special. Talk to me. Did you look into online training or utilizing a model similar to this somehow virtually or during COVID? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so it's been said to us often, it's said to this industry often, go online, go online, go online. But for most trainers, like they need that face. They want that. That's what they're used to. Breaking out of that mold is challenging. So though we started to build virtual on demand, meaning pre-built, watch at your own time programming before COVID supercharged it. I mean, truly. I mean, it forced us to really, me to just dive in 100%. That was my weekend time. Just what do I do to learn how to do this? And though we went 100% virtual during COVID, so did everyone else, right? So how do you do it differently? Like honestly, I always think how do I rival Apple Fitness? Truly. Yeah. If that's my competitor now, right? That's my competitor now. Not the gym down the street, but now Apple Fitness is my competitor. So I need quality to look like that. I need sound to sound like that. And I need the camera to capture that. So my little laptop 720p, no, that's not going to work. It worked in the beginning. Please start there. I highly recommend it, but you can't end there. So we built studios. I'm in one of these studios. This is a faux studio, only for virtual training.
Yeah. Okay.
And we actually have two of them now because we
Yeah.
needed more than one to make it happen. So now you have to have the facility. I understand there's a lot of hurdles to get over to make that happen, but just know that I did it, and therefore anyone can too. The guy who did not get into physical therapy school, the guy who stuttered his entire life, the guy, it's like, trust me, if I can do it, you can do it. But it's just that drive to make it happen. So now what we have now COVID's relatively calm. I don't want to call it over, but it's relatively calm. We still do virtual training. So at 6 a.m. we have a virtual coach leading
very cool.
clients. This is the amazing aspect now. We live in a town where, it's not like a huge town, so people move and come and go. But wouldn't it be awesome if every client who ever left you as a town moved away, not because they didn't like you or not because we did a bad job, whatever, but they could still remain clients with you. So now we have clients, no joke. The farthest client we have away is Japan.
Okay. Awesome.
She trains with us virtually. We have clients across the country now. We have clients across the state who to kind of dabble in our training once or twice a week because they want that method. They want that connection piece. It's the personal part, right? So now we have virtual training with our group training, and then our semi-private training is now hybrid.
Okay. Awesome.
And so we train in person at the same time, train virtually. And we can do that with quality with only 4 people. We tried it with our group.
Yeah.
We did it.
Yeah.
We did it.
It was.
Could we make it better? Yeah. There's a certain line and just like, okay, here's our quality line until we get better technology, a camera that flies around the room, whatever,
Yeah, right.
whatever we can, figure out. So that's only in person. So we have virtual only, we have hybrid virtual in our semi-private, and then group is only one-on-one. And then the greatest part is what about this whole vacation talk I'm talking about? Now when our clients go on vacation, which is a huge thing in summertime, we actually slow down a lot. Our gross revenue cuts in like 25% down in the summertime.
Okay.
So now here's your workout program while you're on vacation.
Okay. Yeah.
So we made those workouts. So now, because they still want to remain fit,
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
so they're on demand, they buy those, $25 a pop, $50 a pop, but they now have them forever. But we keep making more because people get bored of the same routine. So it allows that kind of, again, the sustainability. I can go on vacation, even if you're only me, and say, here you go, clients, here is my 1-week program that I built for you, recorded for you. Yes, you're going to not pay me full price, but you can pay me half price. It's nice to get paid while on vacation. So yes, it takes work. I get it, but it takes work once.
That's true.
Once, and then you sell it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Relatively speaking.
I guess as far as your we'll say revenue model, are you for let's say just your in-person program? Is it a membership style? Is it a pay per class? Is it talk to me about the way that you've structured you structured that sort of system?
So yeah, we're heavily thinking about the new model, especially as the baby boomer starts to decrease, the millennial increases the volume of visits, but we're still in a membership-based model.
Okay.
But
and is that access? Is there tiers of memberships that include everything and then limited stuff? Or talk to me about that.
Yeah. So base group training, but we do not offer unlimited.
Okay.
On purpose. Not because we don't want to create great value, because unlimited psychologically means you come once, I got my value. I came 100 times, I got my value. Wait a minute, that's a different value.
Yeah.
So that value ladder. Why does an Apple iPad have different model and price points? Because you want to point the client to dial in what it is. So we have 1 time a week, 3 time a week, and 5 time a week.
Okay, awesome.
So, and we sell that by the week, not by the month. Highly recommend any trainer do not sell memberships by the month. You are losing money.
Yeah.
It's not fair. It's just not fair to you. It's over fair to your client. So I'm not trying to be, gouging anybody here. It's just not fair. Anyways, and then we do semi-private is on the week as well.
Yeah.
And then one-on-one training is literally on the session.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
no 10-pack, no 20-pack. We don't believe in that. We believe in how many sessions do you need to get it done? We do that, and then we stop.
Awesome. And can clients easily move through whichever membership that they like?
Seamlessly.
Okay.
The only thing that we highly recommend, or actually don't allow, is we don't allow a member to just from group go right into semi-private. They have to have a fitness consultation, quote unquote, a movement assessment, because it's going to be custom programming. So we have to go and build that before they come to give let's say there's 4 people in that session, you can't be building a program, doing a movement assessment, and still coaching 3 other people. You can, but where's the quality? Where's the attention and things like that? So there is a bit of a barrier.
Awesome. And the semi-privates, are they allowed to transition, or are they allowed to bounce back and forth between the full group and
we highly recommend it.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
we highly recommend it. Yeah, it actually is what most do. They'll do semi-private once or twice a week. The other few times a week they'll do group, so they can work on specialty stuff that keeps them in the group at a much obviously lower cost. And then the semi-private that keeps them, like I said, we all come in with some sort of movement dysfunction. It's just a matter of time. When does it show itself up? When does it present itself?
Yeah.
So semi-private, call it that kind of you're just putting yourself in the garage, and you're making sure that the mechanic's working on you, making sure that everything's clicking and firing right. And
and then just because I know a lot of our listeners out there are thinking about this model and what could you share with us your pricing for each of these?
Of course, yeah. Now, obviously, this is always dependent on market value, right? I'm in California. I'm in Central Coast, California, so the prices should sound inflated. If they don't sound inflated, then we got to raise our prices.
Yeah.
But, so LA is a little bit different story, and if you're in Tennessee, well, the prices probably should be a little different. So we go by the class, and there is a bit of a price range in it, but roughly anywhere from $12 to $18 per class if in a membership. If it's a one-on-one, it's going to be 20. If it's one session at a time, it's 25. And by the way, go to gymnazo.com. All of our prices are on our website. We are transparent about pricing. I highly recommend that everyone is too. Anyways, our semi-private is $45 per session. A la carte's $50. Our one-on-one, we have different levels of coaches, but our least inexpensive coach is $125, and our most is $150 per session. Per hour.
And then the
virtual is a little bit less on all those.
Okay, I see. Yeah. And these are paid on a weekly basis based on the number of well, obviously the one-on-ones are every session, but then the group semi-private and then full group is paid on a weekly basis based on the number of times they want to come. And does the five per week get a better discount?
Yep,
that's
on the 12 side of the thing, and then the 1 is on the 18 side of the thing.
Okay, perfect. Yeah,
got it.
Perfect. Awesome.
Yep.
No, that's a beautiful model. I love just for those of you out there that have been listening to this podcast for a long time. This sort of insight is a very creative and unique way to scale, grow, and that's an awesome insight into what you've created. I guess kind of transitioning into, we are always trying to help trainers out. We do have a lot of new trainers that listen to this podcast. And what would be some, we'll say a word of advice you have for new trainers kind of getting into the industry and maybe starting their careers?
Yeah, this is something that took me, honestly, if you would ask me this 5 years ago, my answer would have changed. So this is something I would like to think I'm wise, but I'm experience wise at the very least, in a sense. Yeah. And I would say this is that I've gone through a lot of different modalities, certain tools I use, like, I use a lot of TRX, use a lot of BOSU, but, so this is a twofold answer. One, actually, it's a onefold. Here's the answer. Be a specialist of specialties. Yeah. Meaning, don't be a jack of all trades. Yes, you have to understand nutrition at a level. That's very important. But I do not do nutritional sessions. I don't. Doesn't mean I don't talk about it in our sessions, but it's not something I'm going to bill for one-on-one. I'm not saying you can't do that, but my recommendation is be good at less things than try to be great at all things. This industry is so huge. There's so many different avenues where we can get overworked. We tend to burn out in this facility versus freeze out. Meaning we tend to do too much as a trainer versus focus on what we need to do. And that can be from marketing all the way to your training methodologies. Yeah. We are a movement-based training facility. Do we do heavy Olympic lifting? No. Do we do Pilates and reformer stuff? No. Do we do yoga? We have like one session a week because a client, because an athlete is really good, or because a coach is certified in it. We do movement-based practice stuff. Very flow, or very animal flow, to keep it simple. I'm trying not to be a CrossFit. I'm trying not to be a spin studio. I'm not trying to be, these things. We don't even have spin bikes. We don't have anything that resembles a group. We don't have steps. We don't have anything like that.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say here is that, we're trying to be very specialized in what we do because we think that's the advantage in the market, where everyone else is just trying to be all things.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't know what that is yet, then dabble, please. Dabble. Go out, really play in these different venues. But
yeah, and we'll just kind of building on that. That's one thing that we really emphasize. Kind of when a trainer is starting to think about their own business or things like that. One of the first questions we ask them is and suggest to them is, you need to specialize in something, but specifically, who is like when you talked about marketing,
most important aspect.
Yeah, is who do you want to help, and we have them get as specific as possible, because that will allow you to analyze what type of fitness that group would be most attracted to. And that's one of the first steps in a lot of our business courses and online personal trainer certifications is really just like think about the most specific person that you want to help, because there's an abundance of those people. We helped one student recently that wanted to specifically help backpacking families that love to hike.
Right on.
And it was just so unique. I hadn't thought of that specific of a niche, but she lived next to a local range and was hiking the trails often. And so she started a business virtually and in person directly based on those trails, and created a system of levels based on how hard each trail was and workouts that correlated with that.
Good for her.
And so it's that's where the excitement comes into building your product, and the specialization that you said, kind of as using that as a first step, or just really in your marketing, like you mentioned, is so important. So that's awesome that you would suggest that specialization and a specialist of a specialty, or I forget exactly how you said it, but I love that. That's awesome.
So like our target market is baby boomers.
Yeah.
That's who we train, and that was an amazing thing because no one in our market really knows how to go aggressively after that market. Right? It's just hard. Yeah, it's hard. They have a lot of limitations, and you have to be able to train for those things. Not saying it's impossible. The hardest part is who were the most affected by the pandemic. So you could see the conundrum we had for the past 2 years, and what we had to do to stay in business. And so, for all of us coming out of this, literally the hardest 2 years of our industry, of our current industry lifetime, which only started back in the 70s, for crying out loud. Those of you who were stuck with it, or maybe even went out of business and coming back into business, good for you. Because that was rough. That was very, very hard.
Yeah. And what's so unique, and this is when I like to get big picture, but it's the need for fitness professionals and health professionals, well, specifically that focus on exercise, coming out of this is more prevalent and necessary than ever. So, it sounds like you're on the same path as us to try to help people that can create the sustainable career that can really help more people. Because right now, more than ever in our society, is like, this is so needed. And I know there's a lot of stats coming out of COVID, but none of them are health improved. As a nation, as a world, more or less, everyone got less healthy. Well, not everyone, I should say, but as a collective, our society, overall average got less healthy. Right. And that's something that we from the ground floor as trainers, as fitness professionals, need to address. And that's something like what you're doing and building is the way that we work all together to help more people. So that's awesome. So I guess kind of finally, what just I like to do this just because this is the modern personal trainer is always evolving. And what is your kind of thought on where the next area of fitness is going to be, or what's coming in the fitness industry for the modern personal trainer? Where do you see the industry kind of going? Just anything off the top of your head that you think, or where the industry is moving.
I think this is something I think about often. I dream about it. I want to build a collective brand on it, not a Gymnazo brand, but a collective trainer brand on it. And it's this, and this may sound far-fetched, but so is living on Mars, that the trainer of today, with the education that he or she gets today and in the future, will literally be the leading health expert in the health field. What I mean by that is that currently the personal trainer, and I mean this to all due respect for personal trainers, I am one, we are the lowest on the totem pole when it comes to the health industry. Let's call it an orthopedist of sorts in the movement spectrum side of things as the top of the totem pole. We are the lowest. We are distrusted. We are less educated. We have no formal education from an accredited source of what they feel is accredited.
And no licensure.
Yep, exactly. And we are completely unrepresented in any state or national body. All right, that sets the tone, not to depress anybody.
Right, I was like, oh.
Right? So that's where we are currently, but where we will be is, and this is our power. We, as a movement experts, have the most power and capability to search and reach the most amount of people to literally bring the traditional healthcare model to its knees.
I completely agree. I love that.
Because preventative care is the number one cause, or lack of preventative care is the number one cause of 90% of our healthcare problems, costs.
I love that.
And that is so powerful. Now, if we can make our trainers smart enough, I get it, right? We have to make, so we're working on that, you and I collectively. Are we doing it to make it affordable, accessible? If we can do that, we can literally remove the biggest problem in our healthcare system, is that it's sick care, it's not health care.
Exactly.
Yeah. And we can do that. We can do that. It's actually going to be easier to do that than land on Mars. So what does it take? It takes us banding together and say, we're going to do this. No one's going to tell us to do this. The doctors already have nothing, not being mean to doctors. They are entrenched. Physical therapy, entrenched. The insurance programs are entrenched. And it's actually so entrenched that it's actually limiting the care potential of our professionals, quote unquote, professionals. So who's left? Wild West, baby. This is us. This is us. This is us. This is our time to come. So we have to level up. We have to level up. And if we do that, we will do that. Excuse me.
Yeah.
It will happen. Because my entire career, I'm guarantee your entire career is dedicated to make that happen.
Absolutely. That's an amazing thought, and it really hits home because me growing up, when I thought of healthcare, it's like go to the doctor. You only go to the doctor when you're sick.
Exactly.
And you never really think of the other side of it, or it's and me living a healthy lifestyle. I'm paying crazy premiums in health insurance, but I haven't used it in 10 years, maybe. I mean, my wife had some babies, so love that. But like as far as force, like a disease or sickness, the preventative side of it, like that's huge. I mean, that's where my thought of or that's where your thought comes from in that sense of that prevention is massive.
Movement alone. Nutrition's important. I get it. I totally get it. But movement alone solves so much, or helps solve, or administers, or the cases, however you want to say it. But then you add stress reduction, you add nutrition, you add mental health, which, by the way, we all do as well, though we're not licensed. We touch that. We do. It's impossible not to. It's impossible not to. I just tell you what, I can't think of a single job that has the greatest potential than my job.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I hope that pumps all the listeners up out there. I know it pumps me up because that's a goal that is hefty and challenging and something that you and I are striving for, and we'd love all the listeners out there to jump on board too, because the more the effort that you put into your career, the more effort that you put into helping others, and the more ways that you can work to grow that and then help other trainers and create this sort of a exponential feedback loop of just helping more people and achieving that goal that you mentioned. I think that's so cool. Awesome. Well, and any last thoughts before we shut down here?
Well, I think it's really important that we as trainers, it's a very siloed job. We're really trying to want to build something that is an open source collective, where people can really learn. So I just encourage a deeper learning. Go to YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. We have all these different aspects. Not just saying to us, not to promote what we're doing, but just keep searching, keep learning. Because once you get our base knowledge, like once you get a certification, you're now educated enough to learn the true education, which is it's the application side of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the application side of thing is, every client is another certification. That's how I like to think about it.
So true. I mean, you're like you said, that you're learning from every single hour that you put in with every single client. Every new client is another learning experience. And the more that you build up that portfolio, your knowledge just grows and grows and grows. And then like you and I are kind of referring to, the more that you can help others do that, then that's that exponential next step. And I love that you've gotten into the side of helping trainers, learn a model like yours and assist them with becoming movement specialists. I mean, that's the next step. So I love it.
Yeah. So I really like where you and I are doing this, is that, you need the education, but you need the education to continue.
Yeah.
And that's, we're just going to continue to find more and more bonds and allegiance, in a sense that we're all in this together. There's no such thing as competition in this industry. In my viewpoint, there are literally billions of people in this world that we now have access to via the internet. Now, not everyone has the internet. I get it, but if Elon Musk keeps doing his thing,
right,
we may. So competition is irrelevant at this point. It's our abilities. It's our abilities. So
awesome. Well, Michael, thanks so much for coming on the Certified Personal Trainer podcast. You can learn more about what Michael is doing at gymnazo.com. Love the business model. Love everything that you talked about. Love that our big pictures align so well. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Awesome, guys. Well, I will see you next week on the Certified Personal Trainer podcast. Until then, have a good one.
As always, thanks for listening to the Certified Personal Trainer podcast. You can learn more about fitness mentors at fitnessmentors.com. Be sure to share this podcast on social media. And remember, we are here to help you succeed.